The Trump administration has agreed to provide pharmaceutical company AstraZeneca with a whopping $1.2 billion in federal grants to continue pursuing a coronavirus vaccine. Now, the company already has a potential virus in trials at Oxford University. And the deal with AstraZeneca is the fourth and by far the largest vaccine research agreement that the department has disclosed. The money will pay for a phase 3 clinical trial of a potential vaccine in the United States this summer with about 30,000 volunteers. So based on what we're seeing from trials, this vaccine does seem promising. Statement saying that the agency and AstraZeneca are collaborating to make available at least 300 doses and projected that the first doses could be available as early as October. So the CEO of AstraZeneca had an interview on cable news just recently, and there were some important questions asked, namely, hey, is it realistic to produce that many doses of this vaccine by October? Take a look.
We are working with the Oxford Group, which is a very well-known group on this vaccine for now quite some time. And this amount of money helps us to deliver 100 million doses to American citizens in October and another 200 million at the end of 2020, beginning of 2021. So it's a massive effort in order to make that happen, but we are very committed in order to do that.
Are you saying you think you're going to have a workable vaccine in 6 months and that 100 million doses are going to be available to United States citizens? That's a realistic timetable?
We are doing everything. Of course, we are in unprecedented times. I think we all agree with that. There's a tragedy ongoing in the world, both from a personal perspective as well as from an economic perspective. And we have a huge commitment as an organization in order to make that available. First of all, of course, the vaccine needs to work. As we speak, and you mentioned that we have currently vaccinated 1,000 volunteers in the United Kingdom. We hope to see the results relatively soon, assuming that the vaccine shows safety and to a certain extent efficacy. We will start large clinical trials in the United States as well as in other parts of the world over the summer period in June, July.
So there's good reason for skepticism regarding that timeline, Cenk, because most public health experts say that it would take much longer to produce that type of vaccine. So both health experts and scientists caution that a viable, mass-produced vaccine would probably not be available until sometime next year at the earliest. Infectious disease experts also warn that many vaccine candidates take years to perfect. Some fail or cause such severe side effects that human trials are halted. But with that said, so far, based on what we're seeing from AstraZeneca's vaccine, it does look good and will undergo additional trials.
I think this is nothing but good news. It might not get to 100 million delivered by September, October, et cetera. That's, of course, that something could go wrong. Of course, those numbers could be wrong overall. But we've got 4 solid different entities working on vaccines. And AstraZeneca and Moderna have both passed phase 1 and are showing a lot of promise. Now, don't go pulling a Trump and start trying to inject yourself with anything before anything passes all of the phases. And they're both in phase 2 and phase 3. And normally this takes a lot longer because you do phase 2 first, then phase 3. And phase 2 is to determine safety more. And then phase 3 is efficacy. And look, I'm not the top expert in the world on it, but I do know roughly how it works. And they're, in this case, doing phase 2 and 3 at the same time, which costs a lot more money, and hence the grants, because we got to get it right away. There's no time to waste at all, both in terms of health, because the quicker it is, the more lives we're going to save. We'll save thousands more lives if it gets to market quicker, but also realistically for the economy, because whatever money you spend on these drugs, these vaccines, is nothing compared to how much the economy is losing every single day. And that's not just big businesses. That's also the 38 million people who are unemployed right now. So, but I will say this. I'm totally in favor of these grants. I'm totally in favor of them pushing super hard and fast to towards vaccines with the obvious caveat of keeping safety first and foremost, which they say all the time. So they've done nothing wrong. They've done things as right as it can be. But if we are going to put money as American taxpayers into these companies, we should definitely get some equity back. I don't know. The grants means you're not getting equity. It's not an investment. It's a grant. As much as I wanted to go as quickly as possible, I don't know, like if they then turn around and charge us a gazillion dollars for the vaccines after we paid to help develop them, that part doesn't make as much sense.
Right. I mean, that's common practice in American society. I mean, we've paid for the development of research of all of these different types of pharmaceutical drugs, and then these companies turn around and they price gouge us. In this case, I 100% agree with you. I care less about equity. I care more about ensuring that this vaccine is free for people, so we don't actually have to continue with this coronavirus pandemic. Really, when you consider all the people who are unemployed right now, all the people who couldn't afford pharmaceutical drugs to begin with or vaccinations to begin with, that's something that needs to be factored into this equation, especially when you consider that taxpayers are helping pay for the research and development of this vaccine. But look, there's one other hurdle that we need to just quickly talk about, because Donald Trump's messaging has been so disastrous during the pandemic. For instance, pushing hydroxychloroquine as a possible treatment for coronavirus, and study after study. In fact, one giant study that was just published in The Lancet indicates that it's harmful to you if you try to use it as a treatment for coronavirus. And as a result, people are just not very trusting toward Donald Trump. And one recent poll indicates that some 36% of respondents said that they would be less willing to take a vaccine if Trump said it was safe, compared to only 14% who said they'd be more interested. Nearly 1 in 5 Republicans say they have no interest in a vaccine at all, more than twice the proportion of Democrats who said the same. And that's according to a Reuters Ipsos poll. So that's a hurdle that we're probably going to have to deal with somewhere down the line.
So there's two different issues there. One, if Trump tells me to take it, do I take it? Well, it's a giant depends. If it's just, and I mean that literally, not in relation to Donald Trump. Okay, anyways. So if it's just Donald Trump, yeah, of course I'm in the 36% who doesn't trust him. I'm not taking Clorox or anything else he says based on his word. But if he says it and the FDA says it and scientists say it, I'm not going to not take the vaccine because Trump agreed with scientists. I'd be thrilled if Trump agreed with scientists. That wouldn't affect my opinion at all. The only thing I care about is the scientists, not Trump, whether he's pro or against it. It would be Trump derangement syndrome if the scientists say take it and you won't because Trump agreed. That would be mental. Now, the vaccine issue, look, I know there are good people who really believe that vaccines are bad for you. To those folks, I say, you want me to believe you over 99% of the world's scientists. So it feels like climate change deniers. Yeah, I guess 99% of the world's scientists could be wrong, but it's not likely, okay? So I'd much rather take my chance with 99% of the scientists. If there's a vaccine and they say that it's safe, I jump in it. I'm gonna do it instantly.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.